Yes, please.
Almighty God, who holds the fate of man and nation, we most humbly beseech thee to bless this our city, these deliberations, and these thy servants, that they may act with wisdom and understanding for the good of our community and thy greater glory. Amen.
Amen.
And Madam President, it's my understanding at this time that there is a matter of a statement that needs to be read in order to secure funding for a particular project.
Yes.
Understood. If you'll allow me to read that statement or have that statement read, both in Spanish and English,
Yes,
we will do so now.
Thank you.
I'll turn over the microphone to my counterpart, and he will go ahead and read that statement.
Good afternoon, everyone. City of Trenton pre-qualification hearing for prospective bidders for historic restoration work at the Roebling Machine Shop, 675 South Clinton Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey. The City of Trenton, having been awarded a capital grant from the New Jersey Historic Trust to carry out historic preservation efforts at the Roebling Machine Shop, will be seeking formal bid proposals from pre-qualified contractors to carry out the approved scope of work consistent with the Secretary of the Interior standards for historic structures. Base pre-qualification of bidders is permitted under the New Jersey Local Public Contracts Law, NJSA 48:11-1 et sec, and NJSA 48:11-25. And because the Roebling Machine Shop is a historic property and the scope of work for this project is of a highly specialized nature due to the historic preservation needs of the structure, only contractors qualified and experienced in historic preservation projects should be permitted to receive bid documents and submit proposals. Pre-qualification of contractors will ensure that the lowest responsible bidder has the requisite experience and capacity to successfully complete the project according to specifications. Statutory requirements hold that a municipality desiring to pre-qualify prospective bidders must adopt pre-qualification regulations after first conducting a public hearing pertaining to the decision to pre-qualify prospective bidders. Accordingly, a public hearing is being scheduled to obtain prospective bidders' views and consider prospective bidders' objections to the pre-qualification of bidders for this project. Pre-qualification regulations and any related information will be made available to prospective bidders regarding the scope of work. Representatives from the city will be available to answer questions that may arise through the forum of the public pre-qualification hearing in accordance with procedures set forth in NJSA 48:11-1 et sec and NJSA 48:11-25. There will be a public pre-qualification hearing on Tuesday, April 1st at 5:30 p.m. in Trenton City Hall, 319 East State Street, Trenton, New Jersey, second floor 08608. A virtual meeting link is also available. Sorry, y'all, that's a mouthful.
No worries.
Aviso público. Audiencia previa de calificación de la ciudad de Trenton para posibles postes para trabajos de restauración histórica en el taller de máquinas Roebling, 675 South Clinton Avenue, Trenton, Nueva Jersey. La ciudad de Trenton, que recibió una subvención de capital del Nueva Jersey Historic Trust para llevar a cabo esfuerzos de preservación histórica en Roebling Machine Shop, buscará propuestas de licitación formales de contratistas precalificados para llevar a cabo el alcance de trabajo aprobado de acuerdo con los estándares para estructuras históricas del Secretario del Interior. Debido a que la Ley de Contratos Públicos Locales de Nueva Jersey, NJSA 40:11-1 et sec y NJSA 40:11-25 permite la precalificación de los postores, y debido a que Roebling Machine Shop es una propiedad histórica y el alcance del trabajo para este proyecto es de naturaleza altamente especializada debido a las necesidades de preservación histórica de esta estructura. Solo los contratistas calificados y con experiencia en proyectos de preservación histórica deben poder recibir documentos de oferta y presentar propuestas. La precalificación de los contratistas garantizará que el postor responsable más bajo tenga la experiencia y la capacidad necesarias para completar exitosamente el proyecto de acuerdo con las especificaciones. Los requisitos legales establecen que un municipio que desee precalificar a los posibles postores debe adoptar reglamentos de precalificación. Después de realizar primero una audiencia pública relacionada con la decisión de precalificar a los posibles postores. En consecuencia, se está programando una audiencia pública para obtener las opiniones de los posibles postores y considerar sus objeciones a la precalificación de los postores para este proyecto. Los reglamentos de precalificación y cualquier información relacionada se pondrán a disposición de los posibles postores con respecto al alcance del trabajo. Representantes de la ciudad estarán disponibles para responder preguntas que puedan surgir a través del foro de la audiencia pública de precalificación, de acuerdo con los procedimientos establecidos en NJSA 40A:11.1 EDSEC y NJSA 40A:11.25. Habrá una audiencia pública de precalificación el martes 1 de abril a las 5:30 de la tarde en Trenton City Hall, 319 East State Street, Trenton, Nueva Jersey, segundo piso, 08608. También estará disponible un enlace de reunión virtual. Gracias.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. And Madam President, at that time, if you'd like me to continue with the, at this time, if you'd like me to continue with the agenda?
Yes, you can proceed.
Certainly. This time, we have reached the point of public comment for agenda and docket items only. If I could have the clipboard for that, please. Hold on a second. Let's see what this is. That's for public comment. This is the one I need now. Yep. You bring that one back then. And to the public comment will be 5 minutes for each individual listed. Please do confine your comments to docket or agenda items only. And Madam President, I have individuals crossed out. I do not have anybody listed. I have one name, a first name listed, and it says Teresa. Is there a Teresa that wishes to speak on an item related to the docket? Understood. No worries, ma'am. Seeing none, Madam President, if we can move on, we can move on with the agenda.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mhm.
And moving on from there, we will go into approve, Madam President, if you want to ask for approval of communications, petitions, and reports, please.
Approval to, may I have a motion to approve communications, petitions, and reports?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg, Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg, Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
I think that was Figueroa.
That was both.
It looks like I got 2 yeses. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Wil-
It wouldn't let me unmute. I apologize.
Oh, no
Yes.
worries, no worries. Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you. And Madam President, I'm going to move back up to minutes for approval. We do have September 17th, 2024, February 4th, 2025. We have February 18th of 2025. However, I know that was not distributed, so we will wait till next meeting for those
Yes.
minutes. If you want to ask for a motion to approve.
I want to ask for a motion to approve. However, I wanted to abstain from February 4th.
Understood. Is there a motion then? Is there a second?
So moved. Second.
I'll take the motion and the second. Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes, but this and the previous, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
She said yes. Councilwoman, if you could repeat yourself very quickly.
Yes,
Okay, was there, thank you.
I was saying yes for this one and the previous one. I was saying yes, but you said you couldn't hear me.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Welcome.
And on to Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And Madam President, we will move on to ordinances at this time. Ordinance for second reading and public hearing. Ordinance 25-002, ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property commonly known as Hannam Alley and identified on the city tax map as lot 12203, lot 13, pursuant to NJSA 40A:1213B5 to Edelmiro Gonzalez for the sale price of $2,500. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this ordinance at this time? Seeing none, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 25-005, an ordinance establishing the appointment, duties, responsibilities, and functions of city council member liaisons to certain boards and commissions of the city of Trenton.
May we have a motion to approve?
Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this ordinance at this time? Seeing none, Madam President, we'll go ahead and take that motion.
May we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Not this one.
I'm sorry?
Oh, no, we are
Okay.
actually.
Yeah.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards.
We're gonna, sorry, Mr. Garcia, we wanted to make an amendment to that ordinance. Council Vice President Edwards.
Certainly.
Thank you. I don't think I was speaking loudly enough. Sorry about that. We do have a minor amendment to this, and Mr. Kaloji, our attorney, was helping us with the amendments. Mr. Garcia, do you have the most recent amendment that he had recommended, the language for it?
The most recent
To you.
amendment to this ordinance should be what's been distributed. Is there something that has come up in the recent interim?
Yes, it was supposed to be in here that the liaisons that are being appointed to the boards are not voting members and not speak at the meetings as they're not a voting member, and it could present to be a conflict of persuasion.
Okay. Give me one moment. Council Vice President, go ahead. I'll let discussion ensue and I'll confirm in a moment.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you. So I guess the question I have is, there are certain boards that are autonomous boards. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Those would be the boards that the council liaison would not speak at. Is that correct?
Correct.
Can someone, just for the record, state what those autonomous boards are? For the record.
Mr. Garcia, do you want to read that off, or should I have Mr. Bridges?
If I may, Council President.
Thank you.
This discussion ensued because there were liaisons placed on the zoning and planning board. Those boards specifically are quasi-judicial independent entities that are making rulings on certain applications. Under the case law and under our standard of operation, it wouldn't be proper to have a council member participating and making comments on those independent quasi-judicial bodies, and in particular, when a lot of the decisions that are going to be made at that level will be before this body for approval, thereby also creating a conflict. So those boards are now off of here.
Okay.
So that the additional language, while I think it clarified the duties of liaisons for those boards, I don't necessarily think it's necessary for these boards, because quite candidly, council folks can participate in deliberations because these are internal city departments that it's okay to have involvement with and question and ask, as opposed to those two bodies. So while the language doesn't hurt, it just fleshes out what council's duties are. I don't think it's a fatal flaw that this resolution as presented, because it really encompasses what we need to encompass and avoids any conflict or interference with a quasi-judicial independent body.
Thank you. So that was the point. I just wanted to make sure that we were clear. So we don't need that extra language because those boards are taken off. And having been a liaison and sat in the meetings with the boards that have been on, we've had conversation because they're going to ask questions possibly, and you have to give them answers. But for those two, it is specific to that. So I would like to respectfully ask that we don't amend it with the new wording because it's not necessary.
Okay. Madam President?
Council Vice President.
Thank you. And thank you for that clarification, Mr. Bridges, because we were talking about this last week about what the languages should be in the autonomy of the zoning board and possibly the planning board, but we got a better understanding since then. Is it the recommendation to add in here that they are not voting members of the boards that they're liaisons to, even though, planning board is a separate subject matter now from that because that board doesn't require liaison, as there is an actual council member that is supposed to be a board member according to the state statute for the planning board. So that's a little bit separate from the liaison ordinance.
Understood. I think, and thank you for that question. I think it really is a case by case issue. For example, I believe that Mr. Harrison, for example, is a Class 3 member of a board, and that will be governed by that. So it's really what council's wishes are. If I were making a recommendation to council, I would leave it open-ended like this because, in essence, and while the administration may not want me to say this, it gives you more involvement with that. And they do want me to say that, by the way, because we want involvement. But it gives you more involvement, whereas if you're putting in here, you can't do anything, then you can't do anything. So I would recommend giving you that freedom to ask questions, participate in the process for those departments where you're rightfully obligated and charged with being involved with the process. So I would not recommend putting that language in because it really limits your involvement, and neither administration nor council want to limit the robust conversations to make sure we're crafting proper proper legislation, excuse me.
Okay, thank you.
Council President.
So, Council Vice President, you finished with your thought? I'm just saying.
No, I was saying thank you to the updated advice because I know when we're having conversations last week that was recommended.
Yeah, and I'll take responsibility. My but discussing those back and forth with Mr. Kaloja was really to try to carve out the exception for those two independent bodies, such that if we were going to have liaisons sitting on those independent bodies, it was very clear to them that they were not to participate, not to vote, not to be involved, just be there basically as a recorder of what is going on at those during those meetings, to be able to report back to council. So that's why I was involved with the language, trying to carve out that exception, again, with the administration's goal of giving council as much involvement as possible. I didn't want to tamper down the involvement. I also wanted to protect the council from overstepping its boundaries as it related to those specific entities.
Great, and now that they're totally separate legislation, this is totally fine.
That's correct.
Okay, so I don't have any amendments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, ma'am. Just wanted to verify a couple things, and I was happy to hear Law Director Bridges' response to your question, because some of the other non-zoning, non-planning boards, they may actually need on occasion to have the liaison to be a voting member so they have a quorum, which is sad, but to say that does happen on occasion, particularly in summer times, that quorums may be missing. But also just wanted to add to the issue regarding zoning and planning, since they're quasi-judicial, council members should not, liaison or non-liaison, speak at those meetings in any way, shape, or form, because it also could serve as a form of intimidation on the board members who are reliant on city council members to vote for the reappointment. Additionally, if an applicant were to be turned down, they could, through the court system, have to come back to city council for a decision on an application, which would then create a conflict of interest of prejudice if the council member had already previously spoken.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams.
welcome,
That,
ma'am.
I mean, that was brought to our attention, and that was the reason for us having the, opening up the discussion. And to Council Vice President's point, that was suggested that we amend this on the floor. So that's where the amendment was coming from. But thank you, Director Bridges, for clarifying that.
Madam
Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman Figueroa.
Yes. Hi, thank you. To that point, I'm just curious, to Councilwoman Williams' point about planning and zoning and council members not speaking at all at these meetings, whether they're liaisons or not. I just want to clarify, just because, I mean, we are still constituents ourselves. We're still residents ourselves. We're still representative of the people who voted for us and who serve us. So I just want to be very, very clear. Like, is that actually the stipulation? We cannot speak at those meetings, you know, because these things do affect us as well. And sometimes our constituents come to us and want us to be representative of them in some of these concerns and issues. So is there a fine line? Is there a gray area, or is it just black and white, respectfully, one way or the other? You know, are we allowed to say anything or not? I just want clarification on that.
So I'm going to allow Director Bridges, if you don't mind jumping in on that one, please. Thank you.
No, thank you, Council President. Thank you, Councilwoman Figueroa Kenberg. My recommendation would be, and as always is the case, you can always feel free to consult Mr. Kaloji for his counter or similar opinion. My position is that I would be recommended council not say anything, participate at all whatsoever in those meetings, even though, yes, you are residents of the city of Trenton, you are also duly elected council people for the city of Trenton. And when you're making that representation at those meetings, while it may be your desire to say that as a private citizen, when it's coming from you as a elected official at these meetings, there is a badge of nobility to that, and your word is going to carry more weight, and people are going to be swayed by what you say. And really, why I'm recommending there be a bright line test is because what I don't want to have happen is for someone's application not to be ruled on favorably by those entities or those bodies, and there be allegations of some type of overstepping by this council or influence by this council. And the reason that they're statutorily required to be independent so they can make those independent assessments and then to be elevated to this body. Now, that being said, it's really fact specific, right? If you're talking about just a general policy thing that's not necessarily touching on something that's on the agenda, but you know, I struggle coming up with an example. Is not to say that you have a gag order with respect to that, but really is a fact by a case specific situation. So I think err on the side of not being involved. If there's something pressing, if there's something of public importance or public policy that the council thinks they want to articulate those meetings, I think it's something that in you know, consultation with myself, Ms. Kaloji, we can consider on a case by case basis.
Thank you for that, Director Bridges. Real quick, not to beat a dead horse, but just to give a specific, you know, one particular time that I was asked to represent constituents at a meeting, it's a development on, you know, in the South Ward, and they were bringing in units, and it was gonna, you know, it's gonna affect parking and things of that nature. And they were concerned. So they reached out to me and asked me to, you know, be a part of it, to attend the meeting and speak on their behalf. So, and understanding everything you've said, even in those circumstances, it is still advised not to be that representative at that time, correct?
Yeah, I think that's a prime example of what not to get involved with, right? Because if you are basically the sounding board for the concerns of the residents in that area that are opposing it, and you're not obviously in this situation, but any council person, and they're articulating a preference one way or the other, you're inserting yourself in the process, and that's what that could be considered interference with an independent body.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Council President,
Councilwoman Feliciano, I was trying to see.
did Williams have something?
I thought she was, but she
I was just going to just add that during my time on zoning board, our previous board attorney, George McGill, he would cite statute from municipal land use law about why council members could not speak at council meetings when it was attempted. And it was very few times that it was ever attempted. Thank you.
Council
Councilwoman
President.
Feliciano. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So just for one last clarification, I'm ready now. If there is an issue that is before the zoning board that affects the house right next to mine, as a tax-paying constituent who happens to be a council person, but it directly affects me, it's right next door to me, or it's on my block, it's right there, then do we have the right to come and speak at the meeting?
Council President, thank you for that question, because it gave me an example I was trying to find that I was struggling with. But if it's something that is obvious on its face that's affecting you, your property as a citizen, not you're speaking on behalf of a group of folks who are opposing or in support of it, and you can show common sensely that this is affecting my property. That would be one of the times where you would reach out to Mr. Kaloji, myself, and we would say, yes, this seems to make sense because it's directly impacting you individually. And when we would go through the proper disclosure language when you're participating, that you're making any statement you're making as an individual, you're not representing city council, you're not doing anything on behalf of the government, just you expressing your feelings because of how it's affecting you individually. That would be an example, that would be considered an exception to that black and white rule because it is affecting you personally.
Okay, so the rule of thumb is if it is something that affects us directly, we are to contact Mr. Kaloji and you first before we even show up to get the proper wording and everything so that we're clear. First, to make sure that it is okay, and then to get the proper wording if we show up to speak.
Yes, that would be respectfully requested.
Thank you.
From all council members for the benefit of this council as well as the process itself, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Council President,
Councilwoman Williams?
I just would just like to add, additionally after that, and that's a great step, would also be consultation, maybe it's through our legal representatives, Mr. Bridges, Mr. Kaloji, with a municipal land use attorney that's attached to the board. Just as a suggestion.
Thank you. So I guess we're good to move to approve without any amendments to the ordinance as is.
Understood. So there's been a motion and a second made. Madam President, shall I move through the roll?
Yes, roll call, please.
Certainly. Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg. Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg. Moving on to Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Noted. Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williams.
Yes?
Come back to Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Sorry, you guys had me muted again. No,
Noted.
thank you.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 25-11, ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property commonly known as 14 Ward Avenue and identified on the city tax map as block 25702, lot 34, pursuant to NJSA 40A:1213B5 to Joshua S. Vega for the sale price of $5,000. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this ordinance at this time? Seeing none, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second,
Thank you. Roll call, Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes?
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 25-12, ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property commonly known as 29 Hampton Avenue and identified on the city tax map as block 26402, lot 2, pursuant to NJSA 40A:1213B5 to Diego Barros for the sale price of $2,500. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this ordinance at this time? Seeing none, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards. Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee. Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes?
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 25-13, ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property commonly known as 45 Southern Street and identified on the city tax map as Block 1101, Lot 8.01 pursuant to NJSA 40A 1213B5 to Hattie W. Wilson for the sale price of $1,950. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this ordinance at this time? Seeing none, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilman Harrison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 25-15, ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property commonly known as 23 Haynes Avenue and identified on the city tax map as Block 6104, Lot 10 pursuant to NJSA 40A 1213B5 to Howard J. Jones for the sale price of $3,700. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this ordinance at this time? Seeing none, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilman Harrison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 25-16, ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property commonly known as 122 Burton Avenue and identified on the city tax map as Block 8505, Lot 27 pursuant to NJSA 48-1213B5 to Debbie Parks for the sale price of $17,500. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this ordinance at this time? Seeing none, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Abstain.
noted, Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes. Yes.
Got it, thank you. Councilman Harrison,
Abstain.
noted, Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. On to resolutions. Madam President, are there any items that are listed that you wish to, or the council wish to extract for questioning, or for that matter, for purpose of consent agenda?
Are there any council members who have questions?
Madam President,
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
25102.
102?
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
And Madam President, if I may, we do have two items here listed. Excuse me one moment.
Anyone else?
25121,
121.
and then 25107,
121.
and then 25110. Thank you.
Hold on one second. You said 121?
Yep, I'm sorry, 121, 107,
Mhm.
110,
Mhm.
and then 120.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Mr. Garcia, you were going to say something?
Yes, Madam President, I hope you got those numbers for questioning. As we conferred here, it appears we have two walk-on resolutions as opposed to three. If you'd like, I can read those titles.
Yes, please.
Certainly. Resolution 25-124 has been given a number. This is resolution authorizing payment for a contract with Carroll Group at 4 Youngs Road, Hamilton, New Jersey, 08619 on an emergency basis for the demolition of 799 East State Street, Trenton, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $160,000. That's been numbered 25-124. I will take 25-125. Correct me if that's been taken already. Sure. Hold on one second.
So.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I have it. Never mind. No, never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. The remaining walk-on resolution will be given the 125 number, and that is a resolution rescinding Resolution 25-027 and reestablishing Trenton City Council member appointments to various boards and commissions. And this is in reference to your liaisons previously assigned.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. With that in mind, I apologize, Madam President, but if you want to continue with whatever resolution is up for questioning at this time.
Yes. So we have resolution 25-102 for Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes, thank you. Really quick question about this. Obviously, for the cameras, the added cameras, downtown and Hamilton Avenue area. I'm curious about, a point that was made in the memo to B.A. Richardson from, Director Arch Liston that states that businesses along the Hamilton Avenue corridor near Chambers Street report problematic shoplifting. Having cameras on those blocks would help resolve some of these issues. I'm just like, how is shoplifting in stores kind of the city's issue? I agree to us needing cameras for, for dumping, for other crimes and things like that. But when it comes to stores, shouldn't the store owners be responsible for their own surveillance? Why are we then responsible for something like that?
It would assist the police, the Arch Liston Director of HED. In the case where you would have shoplifters who exit the store and it's reported, and many times shoplifting, if force is used, it becomes a robbery. So this would help the police identify the suspects as they exit the crime scene. This would also be helpful besides in the case of shoplifting, is in case of burglaries, criminal mischief in the neighborhood. So, I mean, shoplifting is just one example of, and this, yes, it happens in the store, but there are other crimes that these would also be beneficial in solving in the long term. Cam Sack, do you agree with that?
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it's the wording in the memo, and I understand that, we need them for different types of crimes, and I get the burglaries, things like that, but just the wording in the memo that it would be good for problematic shoplifting, that just kind of set a kind of a red flag for me, because like again, I just do think that is more the responsibility of the store owners to have cameras in their stores to catch those types of things and utilize and give that surveillance footage to the police. I don't think that we should be spending anything in excess of that for that same thing, when we can be using our spending wiser on other types of crimes. So that just stood out for me. But I mean, your explanation for other types of crimes and burglaries and things of that nature makes more sense, but just the wording in the memo just didn't make sense to me. But thank you.
And we'll try to make more sense next time.
I appreciate it, Director.
Council President?
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you. Just real quick, Director Liston.
Yep.
So the grant, apply for and accept. So this is a grant from them?
This is under the UEZ system. What you do is you write a project and you submit the project to the state, explain it to their board, and then they accept it as a project or not. This is accepted as a public safety project. And this is a normal process of how they do it. But the council has to take the action to approve it, to make sure it's, in this case, it's a public safety issue.
Right, and so the question I have then to that is, because it was project specific and approved under that project, it's not like we could have taken the money and diverted it someplace else. We're just specifically doing it for this, for these cameras, for that.
Right, and that's the way the UEZ works. It's
Okay.
got to be very specific
Right.
to a project, and the monies have to be used for that project. And you'll see numerous projects come through that are very, very specific.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President?
Council Vice President.
Thank you. Good evening, Director. I just wanted to get a little bit more clarification on as to what other types of activities these cameras will be used to monitor besides shoplifting.
They would be used to monitor the streets, but, you know, when you have a crime, and if you can, I mean, if you've ever watched some of the crime shows on TV, what this creates in the UEZ, if something is moving in the UEZ, on the street, on the sidewalk, it'll be recorded. And many times crimes are solved from the scene. You pick it up at the scene, they'll be able to follow the vehicle, identify the license plate number, maybe identify the individuals in the vehicles, and follow where it went. And what this does in UEZ creates a situation, if you want to commit a crime in the UEZ, you're going to be recorded, or you're going to be observed. And we have a much greater chance of solving crime and getting the bad guy off the street, which reflects on they will then not come into the neighborhood if they know they're going to get caught more. So it's a good crime prevention technique. And I mean, if it's used properly, it's very, very beneficial for to solving crimes in a community. And it has helped, I know, in a lot of your crimes, tracking vehicles by camera from where the incident happened. It's very helpful.
Oh, that's good. And I agree as well, because a lot of the time, some of these stores do not have cameras or cameras that can catch vehicles going from far distances or coming, from these distances. You'll be able to track them throughout the city as they move around. And as we are aware, I had sat in Councilwoman Williams' CPAC meeting a week or two ago, and Officer McNair was running down a list of a lot of the crimes that are committed in the North Ward, and there were 2 or 3 people that were committing chains of crimes, not just one. So oftentimes when there's a shoplifter, they're not just shoplifting from that one location, they're trying other locations as well. So I do agree that these cameras would be very effective and beneficial to not only preventing crime, but tracking down the people that are committing these crimes. There were about 8 vehicles broken into and various properties stolen by one person. So it'd be good to be able to track them beyond what the business's cameras can track. So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Harrison.
Mr. Liston, if we had the cameras on Chambers and Hamilton Avenue, it might have been easier to identify the attackers of that young man that was in the newspaper. It was everywhere.
Yes,
Inside of McDonald's said it was horrible.
Any place that we can put video surveillance up in the city is going to benefit the police department. The best part about this is not funded by the taxpayer. This is funded by the urban enterprise zone for the purposes of public safety within an urban enterprise zone community. And that's a nice part about it, because, it's not taxpayer money.
Right. Thank you.
Council President.
Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for putting this together, making it happen. A lot of this obviously is in the downtown and North Ward, so I know my constituents, as well as businesses and nonprofit organizations, workers will be very happy to have this coverage. But I just wanted to make a suggestion. If it turns out you have a couple nickels left over, having some near Hamilton and South Clinton towards Roebling Plaza might be helpful to residents of the East Ward, North Ward, and South Ward who patronize that area also, because we do have some crime issues heading further up South Clinton towards Roebling Plaza, sir.
And as we lay it out, we're working obviously with the police department. We'll get some input from council to say, hey, you have an issue in your neighborhood, in your ward, where might be a good place to put them. As long as they have to be in the UEZ.
Yep.
That's the biggest issue. But we'll be more than happy to work along with council and the wards to do that.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Madam President?
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Thank you. Yeah, I second that sentiment from Councilwoman Williams. And thank you, Director Liston. I do look forward to hopefully having that conversation about placing them in other areas. Also, just with regards to these cameras, do the store owners have full access to these cameras?
No, they wouldn't have access to them. They would have to go
Police use
through.
only?
Yeah, they would, I mean, if they had an issue in the store or they were having a shoplifting issue or other, they'd be able to go into the police department and request, that they work with the investigation. And then the police would cooperate with the victim store to make sure that they would get. That's basically how you're going to identify a lot of people. The store owner, may know the individual or other people. And if we can get fixed photos of the people off the video system and the police can show them in the neighborhood, they much easily can identify people coming off the video.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Oh, that was it?
So to consent?
Yeah, can we put this on consent, Councilwoman Figueroa?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williams with 25-121. Or do we have to do a motion?
My question actually more so has to do with the attachment to this, which is the ordinance about the redevelopment plan. So I could ask my question here, or I could wait for the ordinance vote, ma'am. Because it kind of goes in both areas.
Yeah. I mean, you can answer here and then we can put the other one on consent.
Okay, that sounded good.
Council President,
Councilwoman Feliciano.
depending on the question that Councilwoman Williams has, I do have a question about the ordinance in line. So if we're going to do it, then
Then we could do both. Okay,
Thank you.
that's fine.
Thank you.
Director, I think the question's for you.
So my question has to do, it's more so with the ordinance, but if we're going to be passing a resolution, sending the ordinance to planning board for review and approval after we have read it, I have two questions regarding some of the points on page 2 of the ordinance itself. The first one is number 4, where it says the redevelopment plan incorporates the underlying zoning currently in effect throughout the city and is not intended to supersede any applicable provisions of the city's land use regulations or any specific redevelopment plans which have been adopted by city council. So I was glad to see that there. So just for the public, for dissemination, in no way, just as it says in black and white, will any appropriate duties of zoning board be circumvented or taken away by this redevelopment plan? Am I correct?
No, it actually gives planning board a little bit more involvement in the planning of the community. Let me explain the process here because this is somewhat confusing. We must pass a resolution to send the plan to the planning board. The planning board then reviews, puts their input in it. We've already communicated with the planners, the attorneys. On April 10th, it'll be at planning board. They will then have their input. But you have your first reading, you send it over there, they put their plan in, and then they send it back for second reading. And the question came up, I know, of kind of the purpose of this. And if you look at the bottom of page 4 of the plan itself, I think it kind of summarizes the whole process of what we're trying to do. And the primary goal of the redevelopment plan is to eliminate those conditions that cause the rehabilitation area to be considered an area in need of rehabilitation. The stimulation of private investment in the rehabilitation area by assembling sites and assisting as necessary and appropriate to support such rehabilitation. 3 is making available a full range of benefits and inducements of the rehabilitation area, including federal, state, county, and local government funding. And the 4th is fostering the public-private partnership to accomplish revitalization of the rehabilitation area, which is the whole city, in a manner that best serves the needs of the community, strengthens the local economy, and attracts residents into the area and contributes to the continuing vitality of the city. That kind of summarizes the whole concept of the plan. And this is a very important, as part of the legal process, is one of the things we have to do. But also the input of planning board is very important to get the community input there.
Thank you. And then my other quick question is regarding, and I apologize, it's on the back side of the ordinance itself, not page 2 on the inside. I don't want to be confusing. Is point number 6, in the event any clause, section, or paragraph of the ordinance and/or the redevelopment plan is deemed invalid or unenforceable for any reason, it is the intent of City Council that the balance of the ordinance and/or redevelopment plan remain in full force and effect to the extent it allows the city to meet the goals of the ordinance. Now, is that point or clause in this in case something's challenged at Superior Court and proceeds to appeal and is reversed from the plan?
I would say that Wes correct, that if one part of the redevelopment plan or some issue is found to be invalid, then the rest of the plan would stay intact.
Yeah, it's referred to as a savings clause, and it articulates in there if any provision is deemed not proper, that it doesn't stop the enforceability of other provisions. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Consent agenda, from my opinion.
Okay, I know Councilwoman Feliciano had a question also.
Thank you, Council President. So who wrote the plan?
The attorney.
Okay. So I think it would kind of be helpful when and I don't know what the protocol is, but just to have the author of the plan on here so we know who did this. Where it says property acquisition, the project area is on page number 6. It says the project area is a rehabilitation area and therefore pursuant to the LRHL, property acquisition by eminent domain is not authorized. What does that mean for the city?
What that means is rehabilitation for the whole city has all the benefits of redevelopment areas, except at no point can you use eminent domain in a rehabilitation zone. And when even when you do a redevelopment plan, you have to be specific that there is eminent domain in there, because many of the redevelopment plans will also exclude eminent domain in the process. So it's clear, and perfect language in the fact that we're not going to use eminent domain at all for rehabilitation areas.
But it does, so I guess because I'm not versed in this. So for me, it doesn't mean the city can't take something back by eminent domain.
No.
We can, the city can.
Cannot.
The city cannot. No. So if somebody, right, we can't do.
Clawback's different. A clawback is where they have not met their obligation under the contract or under the redevelopment agreement. Then we'd have the ability to claw it back. What this is saying, we can't go into an area and declare it and declare eminent domain, actually forcing people out of their homes and taking the property. This does not allow that.
Can we say something in the plan then about the clawback? Is that possible to add that part to, just for clarity? Just to say that the city can, if they don't do?
I mean, it's embedded under case law. It's embedded by statute and case law.
Okay.
We're also putting in all the redevelopment plan agreements that we're doing, is the fact that the property, if they don't meet our timeframes, then they have to, it's obviously it'd be deed restricted that they have to forfeit the property back to us.
And that's following up what I was going to say. That's really in the contract itself is where you're going to have those enforceable provisions.
Mm-hmm. Just as long as we have that. I just want to make sure when I saw no eminent domain, I was like, wait. No. All right. And then duration of redevelopment plan restrictions. It says this redevelopment plan and any modifications thereof shall be enforced in effect for a period of 30 years from the date that we approve this. That's a long time. Is that normally what it is?
Yes.
Like it'll be 30 years is the standard?
Yeah, that's pretty standard in the fact that you don't have to go back every 10 years or something. It gives you the ability to do strategic planning because you have a 30-year. You can say, okay, we're going to work on this block we have in this block, and you don't have to go back and next year and do anything or 10 years. But also, remember, council has the authority also to rescind this ordinance at any time it wants to.
Okay. And then the last question I have is, it says the last part, this redevelopment plan may be amended from time to time in accordance with the provisions, blah, blah, blah. What is time to time?
It means if something in the law changes or some case law comes down, we would then have to amend the plan. It really, and that has happened in redevelopment plans, is the fact that case law comes down, says you've got to do this notice, you have to do this. You have to go and amend the plan, which I think we're going to be doing in the near future with some of our plans. But in the rehab area, if something changes in the law, statutorily or by case law, we would then come back to council to amend it.
Okay, thank you. I think I probably would have just took out the from time to time and just said we could, because I was like, what's that mean? All right, thank you, Mr. Director Liston. Thank you, Madam President. I'm good for consent agenda.
Madam President,
Council Vice President.
I do have a question about the eminent domain part. As you know, I'm not a fan. We've talked about this in our ad hoc committee before when we talked about eminent domain. I'm not a fan, however, in some cases it's necessary if you have a private owner who is not responsive and the property is either an economic deterrent or it's in a severe state of dilapidation. When eminent domain comes into play with that.
Who would be like that?
I will refrain from answering that
I will
question.
be bringing forth the resolution at probably the next meeting about amending a certain redevelopment plan in the city to include eminent domain in the process, because we do have certain businesses or certain property owners who have not negotiated in good faith, have not worked with the city to improve the city, have allowed their property to become blighted. And there's a point when government does have to take an action. And it is a property that we're not gonna have to relocate anyone. It's one property that I think will generate a lot of interest downtown and working through the process.
Yeah.
Council President, if I may, I think also what Councilman Edwards was referring to was dilapidated problems, imminent hazard. That's not considered eminent domain. That would be more imminent hazard, condemnation type of issues. So that would not take any of those remedies off the table for the city.
Okay, so to the point of where you have an owner that, to Mr. Liston's point, that may be responsive but not cooperative, and they've held onto a property for a decade or longer, say that be the criteria, and we've tried to negotiate to no end and still cannot come to a resolution to get this property back up and running, and they are an economic, they're disturbing the economy, you know?
Absolutely.
So what do we do in that event? If eminent domain is not in here, if it's saying it's restricted, because the entire city has been designated as an area in need of rehabilitation. So that means nowhere in the city can we declare eminent domain. But if we get, say, a commercial property that is not cooperative and refuses to open, and they are destroying the economy around them, in that case, eminent domain would need to come into play.
And that's where rehabilitation is the softer side of redevelopment. And that's why we would be amending, or we would be actually generating a new redevelopment plan for the area we're discussing. And we would abolish the prior plan that didn't have eminent domain in it. So we're going to get more aggressive on certain properties.
Okay, I would like to see more aggression, because there's some properties that we're not getting anywhere with. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the one that I really wanted to say, but I'm not going to say it.
Council President?
Okay, I will err on the side of caution.
It will be public at the next meeting.
Okay.
Council President,
Councilwoman Feliciano.
just real quick. So to that point about the eminent domain, that's why I was asking about the clawback and the eminent domain thing. But you were saying that it's going to be in each individual write-up or deal about the clawback. So this shouldn't be an issue moving forward.
Right.
It's an issue now because of what was, but moving forward, that whole eminent domain thing ain't gonna be no issue because we're gonna have something put in all of the agreements that
and eminent
say
domain
we could
is-
claw back.
Right, and deed restrictions for, they were called deed reverters. It would revert back to us. So we're dealing where, that's not where you're taking a property and throwing people out of the house.
Right.
This is basically a contract where they sign with the city and they failed to meet their obligation for a 12-month period or 18-month period. That's when we step in and say, okay, you haven't met your obligation. You know, we're going to have the property come back to us.
Okay, thank you.
Council President?
Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you. So Director, I know obviously we've discussed this in the past, and my issue has always been the Kelo versus New London case that the Supreme Court decided. So it sounds like just like in that case, since this is for economic development, create jobs, which Supreme Court found was a public use actually for the first time. It sounds like you don't expect eminent domain to be employed or used in Trenton much beyond this one case coming possibly. So it would be considered something that would be a tool to be rarely used. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Kelo gave us that authority in government, but the state has been much more restrictive in the notice process and how we go about it. But in the case we're looking at, it's one of the few options we really have, and one of the last options we really have. And that's why we're getting more aggressive in the sense that we're trying to work with people and trying to regenerate the areas. And there's no other option if we can't get this issue resolved.
All right, thank you. That'll make Trentonians rest easy, I hope.
Yeah, they'll be very pleased at the end product.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Is that okay to go on consent? Thank you. The next one, Mr. Garcia, was 25-107, Councilwoman Williams.
Yes, that's for Director Minicapelli. Hi,
Good
Director.
evening. Diego Binacapelli, Department of Health and Human Services.
Good evening, Director.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask you to come up to kind of go over this for us, just in simplicity's sake for the public, because I did get some questions from a few constituents regarding the reallocating of funds, et cetera, because it seemed we still have a growing homeless problem. I know we've talked in the past about money from the opioid settlement, which I think that's my understanding that's got hung up and at the federal level to pay for outreach vans to help with mental health issues in the city, folks who maybe are houseless or homeless. And I know we still have whatever money comes from cannabis for the 10% dedication towards identifying healthcare disparities. And we're still waiting for tax money to come from the state on that. So we're kind of between a rock and a hard place. So what will this mean for us to be able to provide more services for folks who may be homeless? I know in rapid situations, as a council person, and all of us get called, I'm sure, when there's a fire and someone needs a place to live for a week, or another disaster happens. Are we covered for that? But also, how are we going to handle our growing homeless issue in the city?
Yes. So about 107, this particular resolution,
Yes, sir.
this is for the Emergency Solutions Grant. And so every year we get around $35,000. So we go through a process through the federal program, And then we look for sub-recipients that are going to help us with rapid rehousing, street outreach, and so on and so on. And so after we go through the application process, that's what we're doing now. We are awarding those grants to the sub-recipients. Last year, we set aside $47,000 for to hire a mental health worker. And so we set aside $47,000 for it. We did not find the candidate. And so we have 2 years to spend the money. So in order for us not to lose the money, we have to reallocate it into rapid rehousing, street outreach, and so on. And that is the reason why we have the money back into the sub-recipients. Your question regarding how are we moving forward? Well, ESG is the little sister of the COC system. For the COC, we have $6 million distributed in different organizations with different activities that they do to help us with homelessness. The opioid settlement, that we're working on it, and we're trying to find ways that we can help our community, and at the same time, we complement with the county opioid settlement and the police department. The police department also gets some money with it. And so we are working on that. For, as you said, the 10% of the cannabis, I'm not familiar with it yet because we're not getting the money, and I don't have that proposal or making the proposals yet. We can explore that later when.
Okay. Yeah, that's already been passed.
Yes.
And it's just, we have to wait for that, the actual tax money to come for the cannabis that's been sold since the first shops opened, which I know has been a struggle.
Absolutely.
So then.
All of this,
Go
all of
ahead.
this is, we have to have a monitor. And that's why we have the homeless management information system, which we have a vendor for it, and that vendor monitors our the intake of the homeless into, because of the federal program. And that is a mandate that we need to have.
Okay. And then, I know our health department, you all work very, very hard. You have so many different things on your plates all the time. But when I get complaints, and I'm sure my colleagues do, regarding folks who are houseless or homeless, living, in tents in different areas of the city that, you always see people or on the highways and byways, under overpasses. Who actually has jurisdiction, or who's the responsibility to maybe help those people get assistance, or respond to assistance without without a situation where the Arrive Together program initiates because a call goes to the police department? Because we have County Board of Social Services.
Yes.
We have the State Department of Health and Human Services here in the city, and it just doesn't seem like a lot of these folks. We just have a permanent problem. The people may change, but the problem exists.
So Department of Health and Human Services. For the Human Services, we have a director, and she's here, Ruth Carter. So her team will approach these individuals, and then we will do this many times. We cannot enforce the removal, and we do it with dignity and respect too. So it has to come from them. They will get the service. They will accept the service. And we continue to do so. We have other partners too that they will arrive there and then provide the services, but it's up to them. They have the decision. They have the autonomy to do so. We cannot force anybody to make them move from that place or live in other conditions. It is up to them.
But so I guess then my question becomes, and thank you for filling us in on that. Do any other government entities or just the city of Trenton make contact with these folks?
So we do have the C Center team. We do have the Human Services team. We work with the Rescue Mission, their mobile unit, and all of those.
The nonprofits that are Trenton-based.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
The police department, as you said, their team too. So we work together to make sure that we can approach the person and, work with them.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
No problem.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Consent agenda, please.
Council President, I made just a point of clarification
Yes.
on this. I believe there was a representation or a statement made that there was a delay in the opioid settlement funds. Is that something that was?
That's what, I had read that previously, and I'd asked several months ago if we'd gotten the money yet, and we hadn't. But I had read that the name of the family who billions of dollars, they came up with all the painkillers that went all over the country and helped create the Sackler. If that's that settlement, and apparently it got reversed at the federal level, and that money is not being released yet because it's an appeal.
Okay, well, and again, just for this.
Unless that's a different lawsuit, I apologize.
There are overlapping related lawsuits, but for this council's benefit, opioid monies on these settlements have been coming in on a periodic basis every year. I don't have the grand total, but I just wanted this body to understand and make sure I'm not missing anything, that opioid monies have been coming in. I don't know if there's delayed with other monies that are coming because we are expecting more, but it's not as though we haven't received any opioid settlement funds.
Excellent to hear. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So that's consent, correct? Thank you so much. On our next resolution.
112.
You ready, Mr. 110, 25-110, that is Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, ma'am. That is, Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Just two quick questions came from a lot of constituents on that street. As you might imagine, this is creating a lot of excitement because this building has been abandoned for a good while. And so the two questions I have are first with the timeline and cleaning up the property, getting in a little bit more presentable shape, how soon that might happen. And then the second one would be, would there be any historical marker noting the history of the Garvey School?
Yes, there, Paul Harris, Interim Director of Parks and Recreation. Yes, there will be a historic marker placed on the structure. There's an environmental review that is required, so we are still many months away from any movement at all. But just so we're on the same page about what's going to happen, this will be this funding, this $800,000 will be used for this building. There will have to be other funding for the entrepreneurial program, from the roof to the existing classrooms to the HVAC units. Everything from the top to the bottom will be rehabbed. It'll be the same building, but just gutted and beautified.
Okay, and as far as vegetation and things like that, can that be removed before summer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Consent agenda, please.
Thank you so much. And then,
Council President.
yes, Councilwoman Feliciano.
Council Vice President has a question.
Oh,
I think it's a good question.
I didn't see her.
Thank you. Good evening, Director.
Good evening.
I just had a question. Because this is on the memo page of this. It specifies that the former Garvey School is going to be rehabilitated, but it's going to also serve as an overflow space for Conscious Venture Lab Accelerator that is currently scheduled to occupy 1 West State Street.
Yeah, I revised that memo. I don't know if they got to you, but I took that off. Yeah, it's not going to serve as that space, as an overflow space. Yeah.
I wanted to make sure because I know Council President and I received the docket ahead of the rest of the council for docket review. Right. However, when the council members receive their updated dockets, it's still in the memo. So I just want to make sure that if it was disseminated to the public, that they hear that.
Oh yeah,
it won't be.
It will not be. Listen, long term, this grant that we have is going to be strictly for the building, but there will be an entrepreneurial program placed here for Trenton residents. But it won't serve as an overflow.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman, the Council Vice President. Anyone else? Good. Thank you. Mr. Garcia, that was consent, I believe. And then
Thank you.
we also have Councilwoman Williams with 25-120.
Actually, I'm okay with that now. I got my question answered. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So consent agenda.
Consent, please.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia, I just wanted to, for 25-125, the walk-on,
Yes.
if I can just make an amendment and add Councilwoman Williams to the library board.
Certainly. Are you making that motion?
May I have a motion to amend 25-125 to include Councilwoman Williams to the library board?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Excuse me one moment, please. No, they hadn't addressed it yet. All right. Council President, when we address the walk-on and the vote to allow the walk-on then we can go ahead and take that for approval as amended, for
Thank you. Okay,
amendment and approval.
thank you.
And Madam President, with that being the case, if you want to ask for a motion, I'll go to 25-124 to begin with. If you want to ask for a motion to allow that walk-on as well.
May we have a motion to allow 25-124 to walk on?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. And again, for Resolution 25-125, resolution rescinding Resolution 25-027 and reestablishing Trenton City Council member appointments to various boards and commissions. Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to allow that walk-on resolution.
May we have a motion to walk on 25-125?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And will these items be for consent agenda, or are there questions regarding either? I understand there is a question motion that you'd like to make to amend 25-125, correct?
Yes. Just amending it to add Councilwoman Williams to the library board, please.
And Council President, that's a motion that you made. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And to the board, with this be for consent agenda?
Yes.
Noted. Thank you. And then, Madam President, if that's the case, would you like to ask for a motion to approve a possible consent agenda this evening?
Yes. Can you just read off the numbers?
Certainly.
For the consent agenda?
Certainly. I did not notice any that were pulled for roll call, so please do correct me if I am wrong. But at this time, you will be asking for a motion to approve a consent agenda consisting of 25-102, 121, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 122, 123, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, and 124 and 125.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez?
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving on to ordinances for first reading and introduction. Ordinance 25-17, an ordinance amending Chapter 77 of the Code of the City of Trenton entitled Fees. And Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
I'm sorry, who's the second?
Figueroa
Kettner.
Thank you. Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee, Councilman Harrison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 25-036, an ordinance adopting a redevelopment plan for the entirety of the city of Trenton, a designated rehabilitation area. Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilman Harrison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And Madam President, we have a series of ordinances that were originally up for first reading that have been pulled. They've been noted on the docket at this time. I'll defer to the attorney if I need to recite or list any of these items. If need be, I can't imagine so.
And Council President, if I may,
Director Bridges, please.
background for the public's benefit. Council asked some questions, very astute questions I may add with respect to these ordinances. Council as the redevelopment entity and consistent with our ability to work well with this council, the administration, specifically Director Liston, asked if we can pull this so that we could have a discussion executive session under the contract negotiation exclusion to public meetings to be able to speak with the council about the process for these sales, how the properties are identified, valued, and the things that are discussed. So with that, we're going to respectfully pull this and tee this up for discussion executive session next meeting with the hopes of having it back next meeting for this body's consideration.
Thank you, Director Bridges.
And for the public benefit, that would be ordinances pulled from, what is that, 14 through
14,
35?
35, that's correct. You got it.
Okay. Noted. And moving on with the agenda at this time, Madam President, if you want to ask, excuse me, if I could have the public comment clipboard, we've reached the point of public comment. Thank you very much. And Madam President, at this time, we have 10 individuals listed for public comment. If I understand correctly, public comment will be 5 minutes in duration for each individual.
Yes.
Hmm?
No, 5. You said 5.
I said 5. Did I say 10?
It's 10.
I said 10 people, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. You said, yeah.
No worries.
Hopefully they all.
I'm sorry. At this time, I have the clipboard. I'll call one more last call for public comment this time. Yes, no? All right, hearing no others. Is that yes or no? Huh? Hearing no others, then this will be the final list for public comment.
You want to sign? Okay, we have one more. Can
I
we
don't
just,
want an entire,
can we?
Up to the dang wrong thing.
I have the list right here. Yes,
Mr. Garcia, can you just
there you are.
state the process for the public comments, please?
Certainly. So the public comment will be 5 minutes in duration for each individual. You may address any item that you wish. The council is not obligated to respond. Thank you. You're very welcome. There seems to be confusion, so I'm going to move on now. At this point, there are no other individuals to be listed for public comment. I'm sorry, what's going on?
Did you?
There's nothing wrong. Excuse me.
She's on the list. She just signed up. But she's not first, though.
No, you're not first. You're last.
What's the confusion? Yes, we just have to go in order, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
I'm so, who, her? No, I understand.
Did you want to sign up to speak? Just come forward,
I'm
please.
confused here.
Oh, my God.
If
I
there's
don't
somebody who
understand.
didn't sign this, then that's, you hadn't signed yet, correct? And you wish to sign. Understood. Here you are, ma'am.
Can you just call the first person while they sign, Mr. Garcia? Yeah,
Here.
but Mr. Garcia, can you call the first person
Certainly.
while they're still signing up?
If I could see the name, sure. What's the
Thank
name on there?
He just had it. Once you
One
finish.
one moment, Council President. I'm sorry.
Thank you. We will start the.
You need an address?
Yes, please. You can. Mhm. All right, that's one. Glenice Grissom.
Good evening.
From myself and several tenants from 465 Greenwood Avenue, Trenton West.
Your name
We're coming
again?
here to see if we can discuss several things like security.
Okay. Could you just state your name really quickly? I'm sorry.
Glenice Grissom.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go right ahead, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, we come here to see if there are certain things that we can have addressed for our building. And we have problems with air conditioning, bugs. Also, we have a security problem. They have taken the security, and all of these things are threatening our health and safety. So we like to have several things addressed. Are we in the right place to have that addressed?
You can voice your concerns to us.
Well, actually, security guards. They removed the security guards starting a month and a half ago from our building. Now, I pulled up online an ordinance that says that we should have security 24 hours in the senior building. In the building, 465 says that you have to be 62 even to move in. And yet they removed the security guards from us.
Okay.
Also, when they come to spray for bugs and stuff like that, they do one apartment at a time, and you have to make a lot of noise to get that done. I'm wondering if there's some way that the whole building can be sprayed at the same time, because all it's doing is running it from one apartment to the other. Also, we don't have a lot of air conditioning and heating. These are senior citizens, and I'm one of them. You know, and I don't know if we're in the right place. This is my first time being here, but I'm trying to find out where to go to get these issues addressed.
So, ma'am, if you would wait, we are not obligated to respond at the moment, but normally during civic comment, maybe one of the council members will address it. And however, we do have some directors in the room also. We would like to speak to them. They may come and say something to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
That'll work.
That's it?
Thank you.
Yeah, we just need some
Just
help.
want to talk to someone.
It's because it's elderly
No,
abuse. that
we totally agree.
He said we're in the right spot. Someone was talking to us. Thank you.
Cynthia Fleming. Okay, noted. Thank you. Or are you, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna try this name. Harold, is that Hoel? Is that correct? Moving on to Miss, is this Rain Saunders? Thank you. She won't tell you.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Excuse my voice, someone don't have laryngitis. My name is Rajon, Rejon.
Thank you.
They call me Miss Jippy.
Got it.
Of course, I work with Trenton Community Street Team, as you can see. I have an issue with slum landlords. My question is, the issue is, I have a landlord that took ownership of the property in January. We are now April 1st, and to this date, he has not given me his email address. All I have is his phone number. He has not given me a lease. I don't know where to send the money. I do have his money. He did not give me an amount to pay him, but he has been giving me and my daughter threatening letters via text, via phone. And threatening to evict us. I went to rent control, spoke with Stephanie Register, and I went to the courthouse. I've spoken with the tenant landlord. And this man has just been harassing, bullying, and being intimidating. I even called, I've talked to a couple of people that own houses, and I've spoken to some of everybody. I even talked to Corey Isaiah about it. I talked to another Stuart Tucker about it. Stuart told me to talk to Joseph Mooney. And then after that, the landlord that I'm talking about sent a letter from Joseph Mooney and stating that the landlord is giving me till June to find a place to move.
Ma'am, can you state your address? I don't think you gave us that.
71 Summer Street. And I have a picture with me showing the porch. The porch is actually falling apart.
And you say he took over, I'm just asking real quick. in
January.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? My phone number is 609-533-3518.
I was gonna say, you could give it to me. Okay, if you don't want to do it publicly, you could have gave it to Mr. Garcia and he'll give it to us.
Okay, I'll write it down.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Otha Caldwell. Ms. Caldwell, Mrs. Caldwell, Otha Caldwell. Imani Wilson. Candia Torres. Victor Irizarry.
Oh, wait, I think she's standing up. Torres is
Okay.
standing up.
Thank you.
Candia Torres, 215 Stacy Avenue. I stand before you today not as a statistic, but a resident deeply concerned with the systemic corruption and blatant disregard for the law that plagues our city. I, like others, have experienced the silencing tactics employed by those who abuse their positions of power, city employees and so-called property developers who operate with impunity. I have undertaken an independent investigation pulling records of over 100 random rental properties in Trenton. The results are shocking. According to New Jersey state law and Trenton city ordinance, only 2 of those properties are legally registered as rental units. 2, this is not a mere oversight. It is calculated criminal disregard for the regulations that are meant to protect our community. These unregistered properties lack crucial documentation, certificate of occupancy, past inspections, absentee owner registrations, and affidavits for various housing statuses, just to name a few. Property ownership is unclear, with discrepancies between county records, city records, and property tax filings. Permits are not being properly obtained, and when landlords are summoned to court, they often fail to appear. Yet they continue to acquire more properties and collect rent. This blatant disregard for the law leads to a cascade of abuses. Tenants are subjected to deplorable living conditions, facing threats of illegal evictions when they dare to request repairs. Rent hikes are imposed with impunity, forcing residents into precarious situations. Furthermore, many of these developers and landlords are not Trenton residents, nor even New Jersey residents. They siphon money from our city, enriching their own communities while neglecting ours. Our hard-earned dollars are funding their children-safe neighborhoods, their well-maintained infrastructures, while our city crumbles.
The financial implications are staggering. The city of Trenton is being robbed. Based on my calculations, the revenue lost to unregistered properties and uncollected fees is potentially close to 1 million, if not exceeding it. This money could be used to improve our schools, our streets, and our essential services. This council's inaction has bred an environment where corruption thrives. This pattern is clear. Complaints are ignored until federal intervention is inevitable. We cannot continue to operate under this system of reactive rather than proactive governance. We, the residents of Trenton, are tired of being ignored. We demand accountability, transparency, and justice. We will no longer tolerate the corruption that is stealing our future. The silence needs to be broken.
Thank you, Ms. Torres.
Victor Irizarry.
Good evening. It's a pleasure again to be in front of you. Thank you, City Council President Gonzalez, for your input on the rising energy costs that hurting our community, Black community, color community. I'd like to speak on or say something on Mr. Retired Lieutenant Rolando Ramos.
Mr. R, sorry, can you just state your address?
Oh, my name 19 Moreland Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey.
Thank you.
This VP has with the city police directors. If he being a lieutenant and of course retired and maybe looking for a position in the future and might be hired by the governor to be a director, being that he's a high level, well thought of himself Hispanic, that he will. If I consider myself, I consider more European that will be American or partially African. That his attitude towards Trenton and the citizens of Trenton indirectly saying that we are a city of violent criminals and the police department has no control over us, no matter what director or what program is implemented, which is nothing but a rerun of the same things over and over and over again since Mayor Palmer was here. So therefore, what I'm saying is that would he and his associates that believe like him, law enforcement, need to do is step up to the government from the mayor up all the way down to President Trump, and step two, organized crime, the international mafia, organized crime across the nation with the FBI and the CIA. They are working so hard on immigrants. They are trying to get away from countries that are deeply and heavily involved in the drug trade. I'm talking from the government to the law enforcement and the military, as well as America working together through organized crime, from the mafia all the way when the mafia then people of color got involved and became an international problem that no one talks about. And prior to that, that was also used against back then, maybe 40, 50 years ago, against the African American community. They turned into the Black community. They turned into the Black and brown community. Now it's turned into the Black and multiple racial community, which now is a global problem. So, Mr. Ramos, this is something I've been checking out since the 70s. It's a problem where organized crime admitted corruption. Organized crime already was in corruption with the prohibition of alcohol. When that ended, then the Italian mafia went into heroin with the Middle East, the Arabs. And then that extended to the Hispanic and African American community. So I believe the problem is if you step to organized crime, the international mafia, corrupt governments all over the planet Earth that extended from J. Edgar Hoover's 1956 in search of the Black Messiah that attacked the African American community, then it spread it out and it became big business. And maybe that will resolve the problem if you could stop picking on Trenton police directors, and that the community need to be involved, and the merchants and community leaders and people who care or have an input get involved and repeat doing the same thing over and over again that's been going on for 30, 40, 50 years, which is actually a program that was devised by Edgar Hoover in search of the Black Messiah. It's simple. It's ancient history in my concern. So that's to you, Mr. Rolando Ramos, and anybody else in law enforcement that really, if you want to target the international mafia, and then if you want to take it further, the ultimate criminals on the planet Earth, if you study scriptures and law enforcement, it's the same thing, are people who are actually devils, one step above criminals. And that's my comment for today. Thank you very much.
Ebony Day, is that Day? Thank you.
Hi, Ebony Day, 573 Rutherford Avenue.
Thank you.
I'm coming to you to talk about the city housing and how I have been trying to acquire city-owned properties, maybe through auctions or cash. And I've been coming to City Hall, getting the runaround. And as I'm hearing today, properties are being sold, and I just been getting runarounds. I don't know like what to do. I've been coming back and forth, and nobody really have answers to tell me like where I could go, what I need to do. Is it any auctions, application? Then don't fill the application out. We're not accepting applications. It's just like a runaround. And I've noticed people outside of Trenton that doesn't even live in Trenton are acquiring these properties and not taking care of them. And here I am trying to acquire a property, live in Trenton, and it's no answers. So that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Day.
You're welcome.
Caroline Clark.
Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Okay. My name is Caroline Clark. I live at 1812 Riverside Drive, Trenton, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so my clock's running. Good evening, council members. I just have a quick comment to piggyback on Candia's comment regarding corruption in the city of Trenton. So I'd like to know if anyone in this administration, this governing body, does anyone have an answer to give to us as the public regarding the contract / caterer contract, $200,000 contract that didn't go out to bid? Is anybody going to explain to us how that happened? We have contract rules and laws in place, and clearly none of those were observed. So I believe we deserve an answer. So I live on the island, and I appreciate that I feel safe in my home when I look across the riverbank and the foliage that was covering the bank and behind which people were going and doing all kinds of things. I'm glad that that got cleared. But that has nothing to do with the fact that how it got cleared was illegal. A competent leader would have been able to clear the riverbank and follow the law. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. So, the second comment I have is, Clearly, the council was completely bypassed. So what do you guys intend to do about that? You were sidelined and something illegal took place. So what does the council intend to do? And the last comment I have is, it's becoming more and more apparent that we don't need to be under DCA's oversight because this happened on their watch, okay? So when DCA realized there was a problem, DCA is claiming that they called the governing body to pass a resolution. So my question is, since it was the mayor who broke the law, why are they calling on council to fix it? Why are they not dealing with the mayor who broke the law? They have oversight over us fiscally, right? And he broke the law fiscally, right? So why is it that DCA would call council to fix it? Okay, and that's another thing. This was a pretty egregious breach of the law. $200,000 contract is $300 is nothing to sneeze at. So if DCA realized that this was such a problem, I don't understand why nothing was put in writing from DCA. DCA is claiming that they tried to remedy this by way of a phone call. Something about this whole thing doesn't sit right, because I know DCA has penalized us for not turning in a budget on time. So I don't understand why a phone call was made supposedly to the governing body to pass a resolution to fix it. I don't know if you read the article I read in the Vindicator, but that's what the DCA spokeswoman said. She called the governing body to pass a resolution. So I would just like to know if, when, and how this is going to be addressed.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Lorraine. Oh, boy.
Robinson.
Thank you.
Yes, hello. Okay. I don't know if you guys will be able to help me, but I'm gonna put my word in. I live at a property at 839 Prospect, Trenton, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Okay, he was living there for like since 2006. And I moved in around 2012. The former landlord, he lost the property for back taxes, several of his property. And he gave us a lease. City Hall contacted us in 2018 and told us, don't give the landlord any more money, bring it down to City Hall. So that's what we have been doing. I have proof. Shh. And then every time I came to see if we can purchase the property, at that time the back taxes was $17,000, and they told me at the City Hall that I waited too long. I should have came sooner, and I said, huh? We didn't even know it was in foreclosure. We was never told. We were still giving the landlord his rent money. So now I was told that the property, we can purchase the property. So the first letter, they told me I had to contact first Mr. Roach was having it, then Julie was having it. Now Julie Murray Josie was having it. Then Julie Murray, they switched it to do Julie Murray. So I got in contact with her, sent her an email, and told her I'm interested in buying the property, purchasing the property. And they told me I had to call you for an email to get an appointment. So no disregard, nobody never contacted me or anything. So I came down here myself and I talked to the director. He signed my paper. I asked him could he signed it, and he signed it. And on 2 days later, I got a call from Julie Murray. And she told me to come down for a appointment so she can talk to me about the house. Then I got this letter from the city saying if I don't do it by March 31st, that by April the 15th, I have to vacate the premises. And I'm like, what? So I showed the director I was pre-approved by Wells Fargo for the money to purchase the property. And he said for me to take it down there, give it to Miss Julie Murray, which I did. I came down here last Tuesday. I put in my offer. I asked them how much was they offering for the property. She said they was asking $15,000. And I was with somebody and they said, well, if they offering $15,000, just put it in. So I put $15,000 when I could have put more if they was offering more. So I just want to make sure these people ain't trying to mess with my head. You understand? They offering, making me take the lowest, offer, give the lowest offer, and they asking more for the property. So that's why I came down here, and I wanted to find out. So they said to talk to, I guess, Takiko, I'm messing up the name, Takika Frisbee.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes, yeah. I looked it up, and I was like,
So Ms. Robinson, we're going to have Mr. Cherry. He's going to talk to you he's going to talk to you in a second.
Okay,
Should finish.
no problem.
Thank you.
We do a lot to the house.
Yes.
Oh,
We
yes.
do a lot. We never.
Hardwood
never lived
floors,
there.
painted.
206.
New
2006.
hot water tank,
New hot water tank, new floor.
stove. Because every time I called the inspector to come to the house,
They would give a bath.
he said I had to find somebody to do it, So we've been doing it. So
Thank-
I just,
I lived there more than decades.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
okay, you're welcome.
Almost 2 decades.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ed Leon. That's it. Yep. I'm sorry, what was the name? Oh, I do. You are here, ma'am. I must have called. I didn't get a response at the time. Thank you.
Can we?
Go right ahead, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Wilborn, 29 Highland Avenue, North Ward. I have a concern for some of the neighbors on Siegel and Lewis Streets. Apparently, there's 2 garages there, maybe more, I don't know, 1 or 2 garages. And there are cars lined up along the streets. And it's very, very, very narrow streets. And the neighbors in the Brunswick Village and on Kane Avenue, this hinders them from having ample parking. And also, cars are just lined up on the street waiting to be repaired. And I think these cars should be inside the yard, that they have. And it looks like they have a yard over there where these cars could be placed. And also the street in that area, it has large craters, potholes. And I think those potholes have been there quite some time now. And I'd like to see some of our tax dollars go to filling in those little craters that they have there. And also, one other issue, houses that are in probate or owned by the bank for whatever reason, I'm just wondering if the city has any control over that as to, I'm noticing a lot of vagrants are, occupying these sort of houses, and there's a lot of trash and everything strewn all over the yards. And I don't think the city, the residents should have to, be subjected to that. I'm just wondering if there's something that can be done with that issue, because it's such a blight on the city. And namely, there's a house on Ellis Avenue in Trenton. I believe it's 207 Ellis Avenue. Don't quote me on it, but I believe that is the house number. And I believe when I did check on it, at one point in time, it was in probate. So basically, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ed Leon.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ed Leon. My address is 410 South Woodland Avenue. The reason that I'm at this meeting is I noticed in the city of Trenton that the people that live here, different ethnic groups, is changing. I lifetime resident, community person, and employee of the city of Trenton for the last 30 years. My concern is I'm a big baseball fan. Baseball always been a big thing in our community, in the Puerto Rican community. And I noticed around the city that a lot of these baseball fields are being turned into soccer fields. So my concern is what can the city do as a whole to, like, I don't mind the soccer fields, but I don't mind the soccer fields to take over the baseball fields. There's a lot of open space in the city where soccer fields can be put and they could be used. So basically, I'm just here to express concern. Baseball is a American pastime. And in the city of Trenton, it's always been big as well, whether it's softball community, recreation parks, or the Trenton Thunder, when we had the Trenton Thunder here, the little leagues all around the city. So basically, my concern is what can the city do, or what as a community can we do to continue to keep the parks we have, improve the parks, make them, improvements as far as landscape, whatever. I know there's some projects going on. I just want to make sure that the parks that we do have remaining in the city don't go anywhere, and that we try to do something within the community or within the city to reach out to these younger kids out here that do want to still play baseball, so we can continue to have that pastime in the city of Trenton. I don't want to see baseball go out the window. I know the people that's coming into the cities from different areas of the country or the America, whatever it is, North America, Central America, they like soccer fields. That's fine, but I don't want to see baseball fields being eliminated for the sake of soccer fields. There's plenty of areas where soccer fields can be put. I just want to make sure that we're not, forgotten in the Puerto Rican community. So I'm just making sure, not just Puerto Rican, Afro-Americans, whoever likes baseball. I just want the baseball field to continue. I mean, I know we have West End, we have North Trenton, Chambersburg. There's no baseball field there anymore. We have the 611, but I think it's only the Little League that's playing over there. So anything that the Trenton can do to keep that pastime alive and beating, that heartbeat for baseball. I just wanted to see, come to fruition again. I wanted to see it to be as popular as it is soccer is now in our city. That's all. I just don't want us to be forgotten. As a lifetime resident of the city of Trenton, I just want to make sure that baseball fields that we do have remaining, if they need improvements, they get some improvements here and there. And then if you want to make soccer fields, there's a lot of open space in Trenton where these soccer fields can be actually constructed or built or whatever it is. That's all, nothing more. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
Okay, Madam President, there's all the individuals I have listed for public comment at this time. If it's your wish, you can move to any individual you wish for civic comment.
Thank you. We can start with Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'll try to be as efficient as possible, as there's a lot. First, I just want to make sure everybody knows we have the cleanup going on all over the city, each ward. We just had the East Ward this past Saturday. This coming Saturday, April 5th, will be the North Ward. North Ward, we're trying to win the most tonnage collected award this year, so please make sure you throw out things that you don't need anymore and gather so our city workers can pick it up on Saturday. And then the West Ward is April 12th and the South Ward is April 19th. And our city public works workers are doing a great job making this happen. And thank you, Mayor and administration, for bringing this together. We have also Northward CPAC meeting this month will be on Thursday, April 17th at 5:30 Galilee Baptist Church, 440 MLK Boulevard. Move the back a night so we don't conflict with Citizens Police Academy, which I understand they have a great full class for this spring. Additionally, we have a special event coming up on April 9th at Mercer Cemetery, which is at 43 South Clinton Avenue. And it's going to be the 168th anniversary of the end of the Civil War. The event is from 11 to 1:30. There's a special program that will start at 12. If you don't know already, Mercer Cemetery is a cemetery where over 200 Union soldiers are buried because through the Civil War, Trenton was the last stop on the railroad from the south as the battles were fought to the south and west. Trains with the unfortunate casualties from the war would come northward, and if their families were not able to pick them up back in the 1860s, of course, they would be buried here appropriately in Trenton. So this event will honor the surrender at Appomattox Courthouse, as well as all the military soldiers buried there, including John Beach, who is a sergeant that served, who is also a Medal of Honor recipient during the Civil War, and Captain Ellis Hamilton, who's a Trentonian, was the youngest commissioned officer in the Union Army. So please join us on April 9th. Regarding some of the issues that came up tonight, they're very important, particularly security in all of our buildings, particularly all of our senior buildings. It's an issue around the city. And I really appreciate our constituents from Trent Center East coming to council tonight. I know they couldn't stay, but I've been working with administration and reached out most recently to Mr. Bridges regarding the ordinance that was passed in 2019 and ensuring that it's enforceable, since buildings such as Trent Center East, Trent Center West, anything over 4 units is actually the domain and jurisdiction of Department of Community Affairs. So we need to make sure what we're able to legally do and not do, but certainly improve the situation across our buildings so every Trentonian has appropriate security, but particularly our seniors. Additionally, I want to just thank my colleagues for appointing me to the library board this evening. I was asked to join it. As they would definitely like to have someone from council, but also being in my ward, they thought it would be appropriate that I join them, and I'm glad to do so, being a kid who went to Briggs Library many, many years over in the East Ward. Also, I want to address a couple of things. Ma'am, if you're still here, 671 Summer Street, I would like to speak with you after the meeting to talk about the issues going on with your landlord. Additionally, I know Ms. Torres spoke about different issues regarding landlords, properties. I just want to say every single member of this council has spoken eloquently, vociferously, as tough and as hard as they can about making sure that we clean up this city and make sure that every Trentonian has a proper place to live and are treated properly by their landlord. But thank you for bringing these issues forth to us, because we need to continually speak about them. But I barely know a meeting that went by that at least one of us has not spoken upon these issues. And we've made some changes in the few years that we've been on together. I promise you that. Finally, just wanted to say, I know Ms. Wilburn was here. I've heard that the issues on Siegel have come up again with the cars. It's been a continual problem that we've been trying to shut down as they change ownerships. I know Mr. Andrew Bobbitt is putting together a task force and we'll be adding this to the list. As far as the craters, working on that too with Public Works, and I look forward to speaking with Public Works. Thank you very much. God bless and have a great evening.
Thank
Am I
you,
out? Is that the signal?
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Harrison?
First, I would like to start. We had the Eastward cleanup over the weekend. I would like to thank the people of Chambersburg, Villa Park, and Wilbert for putting out your yard waste and your furniture. Together, we can clean up our Eastward. Also, like to thank Director Wally Onateri and his wonderful staff who were out there. This is a great idea. I'm glad to see we're going to be doing this twice this year to help clean up in the community. It's a wonderful thing. I would like to thank the fire department. I happen to be going by South Clinton Avenue and seeing the fire department out there addressing, I think it was 1122 South Clinton Avenue, putting it out. So I was grateful to see the fire department going out there and doing the hard work to put that out. Also, this weekend, the CYO was having their 30th anniversary. It's a positive youth spring basketball league honoring Father Brian McCormick. It's this Saturday at 9 a.m., 794 East 8th Street. So again, like I said, we're working together to move the city forward, and I'm glad to see that we're addressing the people's concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman, just for the record, Councilwoman Frisbee is not feeling well with her voice, so she's going to skip public comment. Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Not well, Councilwoman.
Why is it every time when it becomes public comment, you guys can't hear me? You guys hear my voice?
Hold on one second. Let me fix something here.
I'll do it on the phone or something.
Did you try again?
Go right ahead, Councilwoman.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
We sure can.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Williams and Councilman Harrison for announcing the cleanups. South Ward, April 19th. Super excited. I know that we are going to exceed what we picked up last year and, really try to clean up the city. There's a lot of lots that need to be cleaned out, and I really want people to come together to help to clean out those lots that are not your own properties so that we can get all that picked up. Really quickly, my CPAC meetings for the South Ward will be beginning shortly. Father Oros of St. Mary's Church at 335 Adeline Street will be the host of the location. Just trying to hone in on a date. It'll either be the 10th or the 24th of April, and they will continue the 2nd or the 4th week of every month. And with regards to the gentleman, Mr. Leon, who was talking about the baseball fields and the soccer fields, I understand your sentiment. There are soccer fields coming, but a lot of those fields where those soccer fields are being put in, those parks were kind of obsolete. They weren't really being utilized. We do have the baseball fields, as you did mention, West End, North Trenton, Hetzel Field, 611 is no longer 611. It is Trenton Knights, and there's also Trenton baseball over there as well. So the older kids do play. So, hopefully we can make sure that we are still utilizing our parks for all types of recreation as we're making room for new innovations throughout the city. That's all I have this evening, guys. Thank you so much for being in attendance and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here and joining us tonight. Thank you for everyone who spoke and brought forth your issues. As always, the council is receptive and we take copious notes, and we do go back to the administration to try to figure out exactly what is going on. I just want to say shout out to the city for the citywide cleanup. It's always great to keep the city clean. It would be a good thing that, we keep the city clean 24/7, right? 365 days out the year. But that requires resident participation as well, right? So it's not just the city that's cleaning up the city. It's the residents that are cleaning up where they are in the city too. And to that end, I look forward to having Miss Ivy Avery come back again to finish our conversation with the mayor, with the business administrator, with the public works director. She came out before we had her. She did this whole glamorous press conference about having the cleanup and doing these contests in the city. And we don't want to lose sight, right? So we don't want to bring people in just to bring them in for all the fanfare, and then it kind of fizzles out. She had some really great ideas about how to get the neighbors involved and what needs to be done in that area. So I look forward to bringing her back to finish that conversation and hopefully bringing her vision to reality for the residents as well. I'm glad to see I had spoke to Wills Kinsley, who is over the Safe Streets Committee, that they have met a couple of times. I did see that the mayor had put out a press release about it. That's good. I'm glad that I was able to assist them in finally getting the meeting set up, and then with the help of Mr. Garcia and Director Bridges to finally get rid of the confusion about whether they could meet, where they couldn't meet, when they should meet. And now that is underway, and hopefully we're looking to see some good things happen as a result of that. With regards to the issue that was brought forward previously, well, not here in this setting, but excuse me, publicly, about the electric car stations that are being put around in the city of Trenton. There was an ordinance that was passed by council back in 2023 that actually had the locations and everything listed on it, right? We did that February 9th, 2023, and it did have the locations on it. Thank you. So my thing is, I think that with regards to situations like that, the administration needs to do a better job with advising the public when things are going to happen like that, right? So nobody remembers what happened back in 2023 unless it was just a defining moment that we would remember. When we're going to do these construction works or anything like that, we have to give the public notice that these things are going to happen within reason, unless it is an emergency or something like that. So just like when we step out and, release all the things about parks and all that good stuff that's happening, when we're going to affect people's travel to and from work, or we're going to affect where they live, we need to let them know, or even remind and say, hey, as per ordinance, blah, 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 we're going to put this charging station here, and this is what's going on, so just be aware of it. That being said, I don't have anything else to say. Everybody have a great night. Thank you for coming out once again, and have a great rest of the week. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Council Vice President Edwards.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you for coming, and thank those that have spoke tonight, especially if it was your first time. I know how intimidating that could be, but I appreciate you, exercising your rights of freedom of speech and to be civically engaged with us. It's important that we know and hear from you so we know what's going on in your neighborhoods. I want to say thank you to the city for the cleanup as well. It was very helpful for those that needed to declutter their homes of all of the furniture and things that they didn't typically know they can put out on a usual garbage day. It inadvertently, that's helpful for fire hazards for those that tend to hold on to a lot of clutter in their homes. I would love this city to add on another cycle through the city, because there are residents that did not know about the cleanup. There was a little bit of late dissemination of the information about a week and a half in advance. So I think that with more notice, but a second round throughout the city would be helpful for those that didn't know or weren't home that weekend to be able to participate in the cleanup and declutter their homes. But thank you, because it was a great effort and it really helped a lot of people. I want to say, ma'am, that spoke about the Stacy Park incident and the corruption in the government, in our municipal government. We, as council, had addressed that at our March 18th meeting. So I would encourage you to go on YouTube and look up Trenton City Council meetings, and you'll hear the questions that a couple of us had asked the administration to get to the bottom of what had transpired with that particular project, and the request that council council made, because we did ask for things to be rectified, as there were some things that were supposed to come to the council for our approval. And we have acknowledged that and have spoken with the administration to address this. So hopefully these things will come to council very soon. I want to speak about the city-owned property purchases. We have been doing a lot of work with the Housing and Economic Development Department. About a year ago, we had approved to designate the city as an area in need of rehabilitation. And what that does is it basically eliminates the auction process so that you can make a direct offer to the city for a property that you want to purchase. Recently this year, council also approved a resolution that prioritizes what type of sales the department is going to make. So we want to prioritize people that are purchasing properties that's going to live in the properties, or developers that want to purchase properties and sell them to people that are going to live in the properties. We want to encourage home ownership, because typically homeowners are who is going to take care of the properties. So I would implore you, I asked I'm not sure Jorge's title in the clerk's office, to give you, ma'am, a card as I'm looking at you. Please reach out. I can explain the process to you and send you the application that the city has for you to purchase a city-owned property. And that goes for anyone else that had expressed interest as well. If you're interested in purchasing a city-owned property, there is an application. You can visit the third floor here at the city, or you can send me an email and I will take the time to walk you through the process and get you in touch with the proper people in the administration. We have been receiving very successful and favorable outcomes and information from the administration. I want to say thank you to the department for being accessible and being helpful. To the comments about the unregistered rentals and the slumlords' lack of repairs, I do want to say that this council has been doing its due diligence with encouraging the administration, as you heard one of my colleagues say tonight, and we have been speaking up about all of these things. And there are issues with the lack of inspectors, the lack of staff. So with the short staffing, it causes a problem, and that's no excuse, but we just want to be factual here that the department is making the necessary changes to address these issues, and hopefully we'll see some improvements down the line. And lastly, I wanted to talk about some of the makeshift auto repairs. I heard someone mention that tonight during their public comments, that I do believe that these makeshift auto repair shops around the city are proposing a huge parking issue. They are working out of garages and not licensed or registered, and they're taking up a lot of city-owned property. And there are issues with people they have massive amounts of vehicles on their land, probably not as much so on the street, but there's a number of issues around that we have been addressing, but we'll do better with that. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Thank you, everyone, for being present this evening and bringing your concerns to us. As stated before, it is always good to hear from you all and to know what is going on. As far as what did I do with people? As far as the housing, as stated also by some of my colleagues, we have been working really, really hard with the issues in that department. It is a slow process, and we do apologize for that. However, we are in the process of making clear procedures for obtaining city-owned properties. So just know that that is coming down the pipeline very, very soon, so that it will be a consistent procedure for everyone who wants to purchase any of the city properties and put an offer into the city of Trenton. As Council Vice President stated, there's a priority list. There's a whole lot of things that we've been working on as far as that. And as far as addressing the slumlords, we have a rent stabilization board that is active and is conducting their first hearings. They had their first one in March, and the next one, I believe, is April 22nd here in City Hall. So you can bring those concerns and issues in front of them, and hopefully that can help speed these issues and see your case a little bit faster than we would have had in the past. There was also someone else. As far as the security in the senior buildings, that is very concerning to us. I believe someone addressed them address Ms. Glenise, so hopefully that they got some answers for that. And as far as the extermination, I have been pleading for them to do that in all of our senior buildings across the board. I believe that was it that I had. As far as the baseball fields, I do know that the one in Hetzel is being renovated. And so I know that all of the baseball fields are not going to be eliminated, Mr. Leon. So thank you for bringing that concern and keeping that going for the community. Just a couple of quick announcements. Thank you so much to our Public Works Department for the cleanup. To the Trenton, the organizers of the Trenton Heroes program, that was very nice. The father and daughter dance. Thank you so much for always bringing positive events to our city. And then I also wanted to make an announcement for April 5th, this Saturday, at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. There's a flash food drive, and that is going to be at 72 Exeter Street, Trenton, New Jersey, at the Animal Shelter. So please come on by between 10 and 12 p.m. Limited supplies, first come, first serve. Also, we have our autism resource fair that will be going on tomorrow at City Hall. And I believe there is something on Thursday for Autism Month as well. Let me just get that date really quick. Shout out to my students and shout out to everyone who I teach autistic kids, so that's why I'm shouting my babies out. But April 10th is the autism ceremony, and that would be from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Trenton City Hall atrium. Again, we want to say thank you to all of you for being here, directors, and all the work that you do. Thank you to my colleagues for being thorough and asking the questions that need to be asked. Mr. Garcia?
Certainly, Madam President. If there is nothing more, we've reached the end of our agenda. You can ask for a motion to adjourn.
May we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call. Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano. Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
I heard yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez. Majority rules. Motions passed.
I
Carried.
said yes.
We heard you. Noted for the record.